Have you ever pictured the Sahara Desert as nothing but extreme heat, endless scorching sand, and maybe a few camels? Well, prepare to completely rethink that image. In recent years, a series of groundbreaking solutions have emerged, all focused on a single, audacious goal: turning the Sahara green. From alien-like crop circles to innovative underground forests and even surprising waste-powered woodlands, incredible efforts are underway. Get your shovels ready, because we're about to uncover us. The Sahara Desert is transforming into an agricultural oasis. This is Young Curiosity, where we explore the world's most fascinating transformations. If you love unraveling complex challenges and discovering innovative solutions, you're in the right place. Please take a moment to smash that like button, subscribe to Young Curiosity for more fascinating insights, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories to life. Today, the Sahara stretches across much of North and Central Africa, covering a massive 9.3 million square kilometers across 11 countries. It represents about 8% of Earth's total land area, making it the world's largest hot desert. This enormous expanse of sand spans from the Red Sea in the east to the Atlantic Ocean in the west, bordered by the Mediterranean to the north and the Sahel, a semi-arid transition zone, to the south. The Sahara truly is gigantic, but despite its immense size, only 2.5 million people live here, less than one person per square kilometer. For context, New York City has 11,000 people per square kilometer. Humans aren't the only ones struggling. The desert is infamous for its lack of vegetation due to incredibly harsh conditions. Over half of the Sahara is hyper-arid, meaning conditions are too brutal for any vegetation to survive. Temperatures average 30 degrees Celsius annually, double the global average, with records reaching a scorching 58 degrees Celsius. Average humidity is a mere 25%, compared to over 80% in Northern Europe. This extreme dryness means limited cloud cover and almost no rain. Much of the Sahara receives less than 80 millimeters of rain per year. London, by contrast, gets 60 millimeters in November alone. With sky-high temperatures, few clouds, and virtually no rain, it's no surprise that vegetation struggles. How would you survive a day in the Sahara? Tell us in the comments. But it doesn't stop there. The Sahara Desert is actually growing, and as you might expect, we humans are largely to blame. Farmers in the surrounding Sahel region are overgrazing land with livestock. The number of grazing animals here is more than double the region's carrying capacity. When cattle consume vegetation faster than it can regenerate, it leads to loss of plant cover, exposing the soil to wind and water erosion. Over time, this overgrazing reduces plant diversity and kills deep-rooted vegetation that helps retain soil moisture, making the land increasingly arid. You might think more farming would help, but excessive cultivation can be equally damaging, depleting soil nutrients. Furthermore, our old enemy, climate change, has also contributed to the desert's expansion. In the late 20th century, the Sahel experienced a 30% reduction in rainfall. Not only is rain decreasing, but temperatures are also rising at a rate 1.5 times faster than the global average, with projections indicating an increase of up to 4 degrees Celsius by 2080. All these factors have caused the Sahara to expand a surprising 10% since 1920. Libya, once largely non-desert in 1920, has seen the Sahara invade over 480 kilometers, making it mostly desert today. Similarly, Mali sees the Sahara growing by 48 kilometers annually within its borders. The Sahara's growth is bad news. Desertification renders land useless for grazing and farming, leading to food insecurity for millions. In 2014, the UN estimated 20 million people in the Sahel were at risk of starvation. Reduced agricultural production doesn't just increase hunger, it devastates the income of farmers who rely on selling crops and livestock. Things look grim, with the Sahara being largely inhospitable and expanding yearly, destroying livelihoods. But not all is bleak. Movements are underway to transform the Sahara into an agricultural oasis, allowing crops and livestock to thrive. But how? Enter Tony Rinaudo, an Australian agronomist. In 1981, Tony moved to Niger, determined to combat the country's growing desertification. For 2 years, he planted thousands of trees, but less than 20% survived. Overgrazing, excessive cultivation, and droughts made growing seedlings nearly impossible, and even surviving shrubs were eaten or cut for firewood. Tony's task seemed impossible. Then, in 1983, Tony had his eureka moment. While assessing his poor growing seedlings, he spotted a dry shrub sprouting from the ground. It looked unremarkable, like thousands he'd seen. But upon closer inspection, he realized it wasn't a shrub, but a tree that had been cut down and was re-sprouting from its stump. With a little care, Tony realized the solution wasn't planting new trees, but nurturing this hidden underground forest. He concluded that the best way to prevent desertification was to care for and replant these abandoned stumps. This process, known as farmer-managed natural regeneration, Tony quickly implemented FMNR, educating Nigerian farmers on identifying surviving root systems. Even if above-ground parts were cut, roots often remained viable. Weaker shoots were selectively pruned to direct nutrients to healthier branches, with removed parts used for firewood or fodder. Regenerated trees were then fenced off, protecting them from livestock and human activity. This simple system spread rapidly through farmer-to-farmer learning. Better yet, FMNR is incredibly cheap, costing just $320 per hectare, up to 36 times cheaper than planting new trees. And these regenerated trees and shrubs have a 100% survival rate, 5 times higher. Then new seedlings. Tony's discovery helped nearly double Niger's arable land since the 1980s, regenerating 4.9 million acres and growing 200 million trees. As a result, Nigerian farmers now produce an additional 500,000 tons of food annually, enough to feed 2.5 million people. Due to its success, FMNR is now practiced in many other African countries affected by the Sahara's expansion. For example, in Korka, Senegal, FMNR practices boosted tree density from 0.4% in 2002 to 5.2% in 2019, increase, a 13-fold. Tony Rinaudo truly is a hero, but FMNR isn't the only practice transforming the Sahara. Over 30 years after Rinaudo's discovery, the Great Green Wall. Take the bizarre Tolo Kir practice in Senegal. From above, this landscape looks like a sinister ecological eye. On the ground, these circular formations combat the encroaching Sahara. The circular gardens integrate about 60 mixed species according to precise designs. Outer walls are planted with drought-resistant trees like papaya, mango, and moringa. Their size protects smaller food plants in the inner circles, offering shade and wind shelter. The peculiar circular shape naturally concentrates water towards the center, where plant roots grow, improving water retention. In 20 years, these Tolo Kir shrubs will transform the desert landscape. While positive, only 23 gardens were established in the first 3 years, each costing about $17,500. Funding is desperately needed. Still, Tolo Kir's promising success offers hope for the revitalized Great Green Wall. Other innovative methods are also part of the Great Green Wall. In Niger, farmers dig crescent-shaped craters called half-moon. So, has the Great Green Wall's new approach led to increased vegetation? In short, yes. Thanks to methods focused on water harvesting and agroforestry, 18 million hectares of degraded land were restored by 2023. This represents about 18% of the Great Green Wall's 2030 target. While it seems unlikely to meet its full ambitions by 2030, this initiative has shown significant signs of recovery since a greater impetus was given to land management policies that put local communities at its core. Predictably, the main obstacle remains money. Estimates suggest at least $33 billion in funding is needed to achieve the initial 2030 goal. In 2021, French President Emmanuel Macron announced the Great Green Wall Accelerator, seeking to coordinate donor support. A total of $19 billion was pledged for 2021-2025, but by March 2023, only $2.5 billion had been dispersed. Who knows if that funding will ever fully materialize? One thing is certain: if the reformed Great Green Wall receives sufficient financial support, we may soon see the Southern Sahara transform into the lush green oasis promised in 2007. So far, we've seen how both FMNR and the Great Green Wall have helped green the desert landscape around the Southern Sahara. But even in North Africa's northern regions, extreme efforts are being made to combat the dreaded desert. Take Sharq el Ouainat in southern Egypt. From above, this place looks like an alien base. But what you're actually seeing is one of the Sahara's most impressive desert reclamation projects. Covering 45,000 hectares, there are thousands of these 800-meter-wide crop circles. It seems strange that so many hectares of crops can be cultivated here, especially considering the area receives virtually no rain and is 290 kilometers from the nearest city. Is this an alien headquarters? Actually, these crop circles thrive thanks to water from underground aquifers. Below these fields lies the Nubian Sandstone Aquifer System, the largest known fossil aquifer system in the world, containing 150,000 cubic kilometers of groundwater. This groundwater is extracted from wells in the center of the crop circles, then fed into a central pivot irrigation system. This method involves a rotating machine with sprinklers that irrigates crops around a central pivot point, creating these large, lush circles. According to the National Company for Reclamation and Agriculture in Sharq el Ouainat, these crop circles produce about 145,000 tons of grain, 35,000 tons of corn, and 85,000 tons of potatoes annually. Even more impressively, Sharq el Ouainat also cultivates about 2,500 hectares of fruit trees annually. This agricultural frenzy has boomed so much that an airport was even built near the crop circles in 2003. Its main function is to bring equipment to these agricultural lands and transport harvests throughout Egypt. So the Sharq el Ouainat project is truly taking off. That said, there are some doubts about its sustainability. Researchers estimate that despite its seemingly limited capacity, the Nubian Sandstone Aquifer System may soon run dry. Experts suggest that if water extraction rates continue to increase at their current pace, all this water could be consumed in the next 350 years. That won't be a problem for you or me, but if we want to transform the Sahara's sands into lush vegetation long-term, alternative approaches are needed for Sharq el Ouainat. But don't worry, because 800 kilometers north of Sharq el Ouainat's crop circles, Egypt has another approach to greening the Sahara without relying on underground aquifers. In Egypt, trees are a rarity. 96% of the country is desert. For this reason, it's a huge surprise to spot a lush forest on the outskirts of Cairo. This is the Serapeum Forest, a project launched by the Egyptian government in the 1990s. Covering 200 hectares, this vibrant landscape hosts a variety of native and non-native trees like teak, eucalyptus, and mahogany. Even more impressively, these trees are growing incredibly fast. Tree trunks have grown 90 centimeters wide in just 20 years, a growth that would normally take 100 years. So, not only is a forest growing in the Sahara, but it's thriving. What's the secret? Egypt's scorching sun is one reason for the rapid growth. The sun here radiates twice as intensely as in Central Europe, providing ample energy for photosynthesis, accelerating tree growth. Even more importantly is what these trees drink. Instead of depleting the Nubian Sandstone Aquifer System, the Serapeum Forest uses a slightly smellier approach. This dense forest is irrigated with treated wastewater, which is rich in nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus, providing plants with a natural source of fertilizer. The forest is a short distance from the populous Egyptian city of Ismailia. With a population of 400,000 people, you can imagine the amount of wastewater produced here daily. The wastewater arrives at the forest via massive underground tanks populated by microorganisms. Oxygen is introduced to accelerate the bacterial purification process. Finally, a network of pipes spreads the treated wastewater throughout the forest. I'm not sure if I'm impressed or disgusted. Anyway, will we soon see more of these sewage shrubs sprouting in the Sahara? Egyptian forestry science professor Dr. Rani El-Kateb certainly thinks so. He claims that Egypt's inhabitants will produce enough wastewater annually to green about 650,000 hectares of desert. Who knew human waste could green the Sahara? It's no surprise that efforts to transform an inhospitable environment, the astounding size of the Sahara, into an agricultural oasis are not easy. Be it poorly planned policies, unsustainable solutions, or lack of funding, much more work needs to be done to green this arid desert. But with innovative approaches like Tony Rinaudo's FMNR, the revitalized Great Green Wall, and Egypt's waste-powered forests, perhaps we won't have to wait much longer for the Sahara's green glow to finally be complete. And that wraps up another video. What did you think of these crazy and wonderful ideas to transform the Sahara into an agricultural oasis? And do you have any solutions of your own? Tell us in the comments below, and thanks for watching.